Hi, I'm attorney Gregory Dell, and I'm joined today by attorney Stephen Jessup. And today we're going to talk about one of Stephen's resolved cases against Reliance Standard, and it's a long-term disability insurance claim. And Stephen, in these videos, we like to talk about the history of the case, what you did to overcome the denial, and then provide some tips for people who may have a Reliance Standard policy so that they could help protect their benefits into the future. So let's get into the background of this particular claim.
All right, so our client is a former law enforcement officer, police officer out of Colorado, which creates a unique situation in the case in and of itself that even though it's an employer policy through the employer, it's not governed by ERISA. It's an ERISA exempt policy. But that didn't really change Reliance Standard's attitude in the way that they administered the claim. It was the same kind of stuff you'd see in any group disability claim. He went out of work initially. He had knee surgery, bilateral knee arthritis, all kinds of problems in the knees. Obviously wasn't able to do the physical components of his job in law enforcement. Went out on disability, and Reliance Standard, approved the claim. But as he was getting closer to the 24-month, change from own to any occupation.
Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so initially for the first 24 months in his policy, and like most policies, you're disabled if you're unable to perform the duties of your own occupation. Now, Reliance Standard writes a very unique policy when it comes to language, because their definition of total disability is to also includes if you are only able to do some of the duties on a full-time basis, or part of the duties some of the duties on a full-time basis, or part of the duties on a full-time basis, you're also disabled. So if you can't do everything, you'd still be considered totally disabled. They didn't necessarily treat it that way, in that they were, setting up for this switch from, can you go and do a law enforcement? It's an easy no for them. They were looking at, are there other occupations we think that you can perform? And this is one of those situations where prior to that 24-month expiration, they contacted him and advised him, hey, we think there's other jobs you can do. We are going to be denying your claim, at the end of this 24-month period. So this gave him a situation where he had several months to try to say, no, you've got this all wrong, before the actual formal denial of benefits. It was at the time he got that initial letter that he contacted our office to try to assist him in getting through that.
So they never paid him into the any occupation period?
Initially, no. Initially,
Okay.
no.
And so that was what you were hired for, is to get the benefits to continue beyond 24 months?
Correct.
Was there any kind of income component or anything to the any occupation definition? Did he have to earn a certain amount of money as well, not just say, hey, go work at McDonald's or something like that?
No, there wasn't specific with regards to an income component. It had to do with, just training, education, experience type thing.
And the basis of his disability was the knees?
All knees, correct.
Okay. And so what were you able to do on the appeal to convince them that he wasn't able to do any gainful occupation?
Well, this was a unique one, because once we got into the file, this was a guy that was very motivated to get back to work. He even approached Reliance Standard about the vocational rehabilitation while he was initially on claim. So they set it up for him to go see, consult with one of the voc rehab people. He did everything. Even though his doctors were saying, we don't think you can work full-time, he really wanted to make a go of it. So he went through the initial process of trying to get a vocational rehab, was only later learned from the vocational rehabilitation specialist from Reliance Standard that because of his medical issues and his education, training, and experience, he wasn't even a candidate for the vocational rehabilitation. So their own people were saying, we don't think we could get you into another type of job.
Now, you learned that after you got the claim file,
Correct.
I'm sure. What is the claim file? And that was probably like one of the needle in the haystack documents that I'm sure was a big document that you relied upon to help win your appeal.
Yeah, so once they deny your claim, they have formalized language in every letter, regardless of the insurance company, about your rights to appeal, but you can request a complete copy of your claim file. So that's anything that either you or your doctors have submitted to the insurance company, or they've created as part of the review of their claim. They have to give you everything. So once you got that letter that they were going to be denying, we got a copy of the claim file. And that was part of the information, kind of tucked away. There's no rhyme or reason or order of how they, put things in. You just have to go page by page, to find these things.
And I'm sure, since you said that was early on in the claim, that they approved them for 24 months, that someone there may have looked at that, although likely not, because someone got on the claim who didn't know what went on earlier and said, well, even if that's there, That was 20 months ago, and so whatever happened 20 months ago is different than what happened now. But I'm sure Reliance didn't do anything to say, hey, how's he doing now at 24 months?
No, they'd done a new vocational, report, and they felt that there was 3 sedentary occupations he could do. One was like a dispatch caller, radio operator, things that are kind of related to law enforcement, but not. And without the income component, it was a little tricky. Now, in doing the appeal, the first thing we looked at is, all right, well, if you think you can do sedentary work, we think you've got it all wrong. There's more to it than just the physical ability, but let's strip it down to that lowest common denominator. We did send him for a functional capacity evaluation.
And what is that, and why did you do that?
And the FCE is a test usually done with a physical therapist, sometimes with a doctor like a physiatrist. And what that is geared to is the, under the Department of Labor standards for workability, sedentary, light, medium, heavy, very heavy. It's anywhere from a 3 to 4 hour exam where you're going to lift, push, pull, do things that aren't necessarily a replication of what you do in an occupation, but give you an overall idea of your physical ability in a workplace setting. So we sent him to that, and it did come back that he didn't have the ability for sedentary work. Now, I think Reliance Standard's doctor, when they reviewed everything, well, he should be able to sit. His problem was only his knees. But his knees were such that even from a seated position, they basically lock up. He's in a lot of pain, so he has to constantly get up, take breaks, all that type of stuff, which impacted his ability, according to the FCE, to be able to do full-time sedentary work. So we got it back that he wouldn't be able to do full-time sedentary work. And then with that, definition of disability, I argued, you clearly state that if he can't do all the duties on a full-time basis, only some of them, then he's disabled under this policy. But that wasn't where we ended it off too. We also felt it was very important for long-term success in the claim to also do our own vocational review. Especially since there wasn't that income component to the definition of any occupation.
So how did you go about doing a vocational review?
So we hired a vocational expert to basically look at our medical information, the results of the FCE, the vocational reports done by Reliance Standard, including that initial vocational rehabilitation, interview he did. And the vocational expert basically went through each of the jobs, and you would think, oh, if you're a police officer, you could probably be a dispatcher and all this stuff. And he argued in his report that these are low salary jobs that wouldn't meet what you would typically see the component of, any gainful occupation. And this vocational expert we hired used to work for the insurance industry, used to work for an insurance company writing these reports, so he knows exactly what to look for and what to address. And then he even went on so much that, with our client only having a GED, it affected transferable skills into a lot of jobs. And then also, all of his training and education had only been for purpose of law enforcement, not these other occupations. So was able to argue between what his transferable skills are, plus what the limitations are, that in his opinion, the vocational expert's opinion, our client wouldn't be able to return to gainful work in any reasonable capacity.
So a lot of work on this particular appeal, and you had to hire 2 experts, meaning the functional capacity, which is like a physical therapist, plus the vocational expert, plus I'm assuming you worked with his treating doctors as well to get these custom attending physician statements that we always do. The client had knee surgery, right, on both knees. Did you have any struggles with the treating doctor in any sense that the treating doctor had done surgery and was saying, well, why isn't the claimant better?
In this situation, no. The doctor was very understanding of it because having knee replacement, the client was only, in his early 40s at the time, is young to be doing knee replacements, so it's bad. And there's the thought that he will need another one in the future. And just the wear and tear from the years on the job and everything, and the injury sustained, the knees, the doctor, I think going into it, the surgeon knew, I can get you better, but I can't get you perfect kind of thing. This is a Band-Aid, not a complete fix. You're still going to have problems. So the doctor was very, very supportive.
And I know you've handled a lot of knee disorders, and I'm glad you brought it up earlier, that disability insurance companies tend to minimize these and say, well, look, we understand you'll have difficulty with walking, standing, lifting, squatting, bending, kneeling, all of those things, but 9 out of 10 times they say, we don't understand why you can't sit in a chair. So how did you, and what tip do you give to provide evidence that even while in a sitting position, that the knees themselves are still disabling?
You know, the pain, you know, the
Okay.
sensations of pain that you're going to get from them and how that affects your ability to concentrate and do things. And part of the issue is, you know, if you think about it, anytime you see someone has a knee surgery, right, what do? They're in a brace with the legs straight out.
Yeah.
In this situation, even in a seated position all day, just how the knee would stiffen and tighten, you not being able to get up, the throbbing that came from it. You know, documenting that with the doctors, that even in seating, it stiffens up, has to get up and move around. So, you know, like, oh, if he can alternate between sitting and standing, to an extent, yes, for work purposes, but when it's you have to do that all the time,
Right.
it's just not going to allow you to actually, you know, be anything more than maybe a warm body in an office space.
And what they ignore is that it really transfers to what's known as a chronic pain syndrome, because at the end of the day, it's not about, no, do I have 45-degree flexion or whatever it is in my legs. It's, I'm in pain. And if I'm in pain for even 2 hours a day, it throws off my whole day. I can't commit to a schedule. I can't focus. And once the pain starts, it's a snowball effect. Then if I do take a pain pill, then I can't focus even further. And I don't want to go on pain pills. So I need this ability to be free, to change positions, to come and go as I please, and not necessarily have to be locked down into a committed schedule that every employer requires, let alone completing all the daily tasks I have to do. I know when I'm in this kind of pain and the way I feel, I'll never be able to satisfy the responsibilities given to me by any employer. And so it's great that you're able to prove that, and it's a constant battle we have with these knee disorder claims, but yet you've had a lot of success in this area, and thankfully this was another one.
Yeah, you know, and with it, you know, we continue to represent him. Just last year, they sent him for another independent medical evaluation.
Wow.
That came back in his favor because they're still paying benefits on it. You know, and the client, I think, is very irritated just with this whole experience. You know, and we're trying to secure a lump sum settlement on it so we can get him out of their life. You know, he's on Social Security and everything.
Right.
So, but it's been nonstop with him.
Well, Reliance tends to be one of the more aggressive companies. They will continue, and I won't be surprised if you tell me next year they want to do another one. It's just the way that they operate. They're, you know, not one of the biggest companies, but they're in the mid-sized category, and they tend to have turnover with employees. And if they could find, they're one company I'd say if they have any reason whatsoever to try to deny a claim, they're going to jump on it and say, prove it to us that we're wrong. And that's what happens every time with Reliance. Unfortunately, we have good strategy and the resources often to be able to get their claims reversed. So if you're someone with a Reliance Standard claim, feel free to reach out to Stephen, myself, any of our disability lawyers. We'll immediately provide you with a free phone consultation to discuss your claim. We're available anywhere in the country to represent you, and we encourage you to take a look around our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, as we always put out videos like this that we think would be helpful for you should you have a Reliance Standard claim in the future. We look forward to helping you in the future. Thank you. Hi, I'm Gregory Dell, the Managing Attorney of Dell Disability Lawyers, and I hope you find the video you just watched helpful. We put these videos out all of the time, and we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beyond our videos on our YouTube channel, we also have lots of information available on our website at diattorney.com, and we encourage you to come to our website. The goal is that we want you to be educated about the disability insurance process. And when you get to our website, you'll see that we have information all about your specific disability insurance company, your occupation, and your medical condition. And we've designed our website such that you can easily search our website to find things that you may specifically be looking for. Now, at our website, we have thousands and thousands of pages of information, hundreds of videos that you can search. Plus, we're building a section of reviews of all the disability insurance companies, and we have the Ask Our Lawyer section where you can go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. Now, we realize that you may not need us right now, but you may need us in the future to help you with your disability claim, and we think one of the best ways to keep in touch is by clicking the button below and subscribing to our channel. And most importantly, again, no matter where you live in the country, we're always available. Just go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to discuss your claim and let you know immediately if we can help you.